Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to Hitting the Turnbuckle. I am your host, Adam Cousins. It's AEW Dynamite review, which means only one thing. My good friend, buddy, one tag team partner, the problem child, father, whatever you want to call yourself. It's Dave Robinson. Dave, welcome back again.
Yeah, we're on a bit of a run now, aren't we? We're hitting our
turnbuckle.
Hitting our turnbuckle, yeah. What's the expression I was going for? Hitting our stride? Hitting our straps?
Stride, what does that mean? I think the word.
Yeah. Right. We're hitting our turnbuckle. Yeah, glad to be back, mate. Enjoyed Dynamite this week. Got some thoughts on the C2, as the kids are calling it, as we just said before we went live. I enjoyed it though. A bit of a reset after the pay-per-view, bit of a start of a new chapter. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that very, very shortly. Just a quick one. There wasn't really a lot of news the past week or so of AEW. Obviously, apart from the C2, it's the kids now call it. The other thing was obviously next week, the tickets for All In 2024 go on sale. I'm sure you're going to be buying one. I certainly am. Good thing. Was that a good thing from AEW doing it before Christmas? Obviously, people looking for ideas for Christmas presents kind of seems a really good idea to sell a lot of tickets quite early for that event.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a great show, to be honest, with Christmas around the corner. I know if I was receiving a ticket for All In, I'd be very happy with that.
Don't look at me.
Thinking about it.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, no, you're expensive. I can expense it, kind of, mate. I can expense it. VIP tickets. We're getting a box, aren't we? We're hitting the turnbuckle box at Wembley. We're not quite there yet.
Dairy milk box,
maybe one day. But no, yeah, I think it's good strategy as to getting the tickets out now, getting the pre-sale codes. I've received my pre-sale code today, so I'm going to go for it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I was on the floor this year, which was pretty good. You know, I was as I said to you on the show, I stood at the back, so I got some real good pictures, but I'm not sure whether I want an elevated seat next year, a bit higher up. We'll see. But yeah, I think it's Monday. The pre-sale starts.
Pre-sale, yeah.
There's a few pre-sales. I think if you're a subscriber to Fight, that's the earliest one you can get. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what seats I can get next week, and I think it's going to be a great show. I like the fact that they're promoting it already. I mean, the poster's got Ospreay on. Hopefully Jamie Hayter's back by then as well, and she gets her moment this year. And Pac as well. Pac's somebody that I really hope he's on the verge of returning.
What is it with? Is he injured? What's going on?
He was injured, yeah. Yeah, he was injured. I haven't heard any updates, and he's not really on social media, Pac. So it's rare you get an update on him. He just seems to reappear. But I'm hopeful that he'll be back. You know, if not by World's End, maybe at the start of 2024, we'll get Pac back, and he'll have a good featured match as well in August at All In.
Yeah, I hope so. I love Pac. Speaking of the C2, before we get into the show itself, what do you make of the C2? Obviously, it's their AEW's version of the G1, which is a very good tournament over in Japan. I love the groups and I love the people in there in the actual tournament itself. But what do you make of the C2, as you would call it?
I really, really like it. I like the concept. I got into a bit of the G1 this year for the first time, really. I've watched bits of New Japan over the years, but this year was the first time I saw some more of the G1. I like the round robin style. Perhaps this is what they could have done with the Owen Hart tournament. But the fact that we're getting it now and we get the Owen Hart tournament, I've got no real complaints about that. But my point is, I like the round robin style. I like the fact that it's not a case of elimination. We are going to see these different matches. We're going to see some different dynamics as well as the tournament progresses. We're going to see people go on losing streaks and winning streaks, and there's going to be like the underdog story. I think Mark Briscoe, because really looking at the two groups, if you look at the gold group, there's not really any faces in there. You could call Moxley a face. He's a bit of in between at the minute. But everyone else is a heel. So I think there is some potential for Mark Briscoe I really, really wanted to see him pick up a win this week. I wanted him, and I think my only criticism, and we'll get into it a little bit more as the review goes on, is that the winners were a little bit predictable, and I think they had an opportunity here to really shake things up, particularly with Swerve.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Swerve lose, don't get me wrong, but coming off the back of the death match on Saturday, I think you could have done something interesting there where perhaps Swerve couldn't compete, he wasn't cleared, or something in that kind of realm, and Mark Briscoe gets the 3 points, which Jay Lethal gets the 3 points, because you look at it and you think Jay Lethal's going to lose a lot of matches. Unfortunately, that's the way I look at it. And I think everybody else, particularly when you're looking at the blue group, there's a lot more contenders who could be progressing to the final. I don't think Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal are of that same level, but I think there's a real opportunity to do something with Mark Briscoe. So be interesting. I think there's going to be some great matches. I love the fact that Roosh is involved with it as well.
Yeah.
Big Roosh fans on the podcast.
We are.
So we'll see how El Toro Blanco fares as well. Again, that match with Jay White, I would have preferred that to go to a time limit draw.
Yeah.
I know they did a bit of a protection finish for Roosh, and they used the low blow. But I think I would have rather Roosh and Jay White go to a draw. Because I think that's another element that's going to factor into this tournament. It's not just 3 points for a win. You have got the time limit draw, the 20 minutes. So it'd be interesting to see how the scoreboards play out. And hopefully what you want to see in a tournament like that is to be competitive, and you don't want to run away winners in two groups. And they've obviously got the potential to really plan it out, and be interesting to see who we get in the final.
Indeed, and Eddie Kingston apparently defending his championship in every single match that he goes in.
They've apparently Tony Khan's gone back on that, and he said words along the lines of they kind of are in the line every match, because if Eddie doesn't progress, then he'll lose them. But I don't think, this is my understanding, this is what I heard today listening to another podcast, I don't think he's defending the belts in his individual matches.
Right.
I might be wrong, but that's the latest. Apparently, that's come from Tony Khan. So obviously, if Eddie doesn't progress, then he's no longer Ring of Honor Pure and New Japan Pure Ring of Honor
TV
World Champions.
That's it, world champion, yeah.
And then obviously the winner of the tournament will be known as the Triple Crown Champion, and one belt from Ring of Honor, one from New Japan, and one for AEW. Which again, interesting concept. I don't think AEW necessarily need more belts, but if it's a way of kind of getting rid of two belts or merging two belts into another one, because moving forward, I'm just thinking, hey, are they going to be defended? Are they going to be defended individually?
I thought it was going to be put into one. Yeah,
that's my understanding, that you'll be up against the Triple Crown Champion, and whoever beats the Triple Crown Champion is the new Triple Crown Champion. But we'll see. I think I do like that, but I don't think it's as we suspected in terms of Eddie defending those. But his promo, that's what he said. So maybe there was a bit of confusion there. But we'll find out hopefully on Saturday. I think Eddie's probably in action on Saturday on Collision.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm just going to quickly run through the group. Gold League is Moxley, Roosh, Briscoe, Strickland, White, and Lethal. Blue League is Brody King, Andrade, Brian Danielson, Daniel Garcia, Claudio Castagnoli, and Eddie Kingston. So those are the group stages, or the groups, so we say. And it kicked off with one of the things that you were talking about, Swerve Strickland against Jay Lethal. Obviously, Swerve heavily taped up after his death match, to which caused a bit of a stir, shall we say, amongst the wrestling contingent.
I still think best Texas death match I've ever seen. A few days after it now, on reflection, I stand by it. I think it was absolutely wrestling perfection is what I called it, I think. It was brutal. There was moments I had to look away. There was moments where I shouted out loud. But I think it was... I think they could have carried on playing on it. So that's what I mentioned at the start of the review about, Swerve coming out. Yes, he had some shoulder tape on. Yes, he was selling the injuries to a degree. But with how brutal that match was, I think they could have done a little bit more with it.
Yeah, they could have done. Just by the way, if you want to hear Eric Bischoff's views on the death match, just go on to our YouTube. what he says.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've got to catch up with that.
yeah.
I take it he wasn't very complimentary.
How did you guess? That's not the only thing that he said, by the way. But anyway, if you're a TNA fan, his thoughts on the X division are also that's a clip up actually. If you again, no plugging on this show at all. Obviously, Swerve gets the win on this one. As you say, they're a bit disappointed. They could have maybe gone to a time limit draw on this, or given Jay Lethal a surprise win, but never enough. Perfectly enjoyable match between them two. Obviously, you said Swerve done a very good job of selling the injury, but he pushed through to get the win on that bit, and he gets the first 3 points of the C2 tournament.
Yeah, as I say, I thought that was the only time I could see Jay Lethal potentially picking up a win.
Yeah,
I don't know where a win's coming from. Maybe I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure. I really like this tournament, and I really like the concept, and I think all 3 matches were good. There just wasn't like an absolute blow away match, like an Omega MJF type match that we saw a few weeks back, just to kick the tournament off.
Yeah,
and I don't think an injured or banged up Swerve and Jay Lethal was the way I would have started the tournament personally. I think I may have held off till Saturday and had Danielson's return as the opening match of the tournament. And maybe done a little bit more with the fallout from the pay-per-view on Dynamite. I think maybe that's what I would have done, but it's on a time kind of constraint in terms of getting it all done and dusted for World's End, isn't it? So
yeah,
I suppose they had to kind of get things kicked off. There's a lot of matches. Each wrestler is going to have 5 matches.
Yes,
There's 6 in each group. So yeah, they've got to get that rolling. So again, I'm not being overly critical. I'd have just tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's a good analogy to use there. We'll go backstage now, and our good mate Orange is there with Hook and Shibata. I'm getting used to pronouncing those names now, so I'm getting a pro at those.
Awesome, man.
It was good, that wasn't it? Basically, Orange Cassidy said that he's got an announcement to make, but unfortunately, that was cut off by Wheeler Yuta, who congratulated Cassidy after the exposed turnbuckle shot and tells Shibata to watch his Pure Rules match tomorrow. We'll get into a bit more of that in a minute. The next part was the Brochatos? Yes. Adam Cole, MJF. MJF was still a bit having a celebrations after his win over Jay White at Full Gear. Cole can still barely walk yet. He said he's going to come back at 100%, but he's worried about MJF. He said everyone's coming from MJF, from Samoa Joe to Wardlow, and the dude in a devil mask. And at that point, the devil comes on the screen and laughs. And that brings out Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe has basically said he doesn't want the MJF that is injured or not at 100%. He wants the MJF, the full 100% version of MJF, and he's going to get that at World's End. And my opinion, Dave, is World's End is when we're going to see who the devil is.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that is long enough for it to go before we get the reveal. My question to you is it at World's End when Samoa Joe becomes AEW World Champion?
It's a good question.
It's in Long Island. I mean, that's an interesting little facet as well. The fact that it's in MJF's hometown. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way I'll go with my prediction. We'll see how things play out over the next few weeks and whether they continue the injury angle. MJF was walking on a stick, and I think there is some legitimate injury there in terms of his hip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So obviously we'll see how that goes as well. I don't expect him to be in action before World's End. And it looks like Samoa Joe, he called him his property. And he said that he'll be protecting him, or he'll be there, making sure that MJF, which is interesting because a lot of the times we see heels kind of taking shortcuts, and we see them taking out their opponents and they don't want them to be at 100% for the pay-per-view. Samoa Joe, because he's such a badass, he, as you say, he doesn't want any excuses. He wants MJF at 100% at his best, which again, it's a different way of conveying a heel, isn't it? Very, very different to a chicken shit heel. He's just a badass that doesn't want any excuses or any element of doubt. He wants to beat the best and become the best.
He does, and fair play to him for that. As you say, he could have easily taken the chicken shit hill route out, but he didn't, and he wants him at 100%. Your answer to your question, I'm going to say no. I don't think Samoa Joe wins the heavyweight championship. I think, but we will see who the devil is, and perhaps I'm now leaning towards your analogy that Adam Cole was the devil.
Okay.
A bit more. I'm still going to say Jack Perry just because, I can. but
Yeah.
very much on the lines of I think it's Adam Cole baby. But we'll
I
see.
think if Adam Cole is unveiled as the devil and he costs Max, Max not only loses his best friend, but he loses his Triple B in Long Island.
Yeah. That could work.
I think that's a very interesting way to kind of kickstart the feud, I suppose, with Adam Cole and MJF, which we're expecting at some point. I don't buy that Adam Cole's injured, to be honest.
See, and there you go. Dave does not buy Adam. That is going to be clipped up.
And not to the extent that what they're making out.
Yeah.
I don't think he's wearing that boot when he's at home with Britt. I think he's walking around and he rolled his ankle, man. Like maybe it was a little bit worse than that, and he did break a bone. And I know the X-ray picture went out, but I don't think he's as far off a return as he made out on Dynamite.
We'll see. It'll be great, and it'll be a good way to be a good heel turn for Adam Cole if that is the case. Match number 2, Shibata Hook, Orange Cassidy against pretty much the old Jericho Appreciation Society. But before that, Orange reminded us, Dave, that he had a surprise. And the
Thanksgiving surprise, yeah.
A Thanksgiving surprise that was very nice and very evil. Danhausen returns from injury. The match was, it was what it was. It kind of existed. The crowd loved the fact that Danhausen was back. Always good to see Shibata as well in this. He cursed the hat, didn't he? Hager.
Yeah.
But it was just a fun little match, I suppose, to take away from the seriousness of the C2.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a well-placed match, well-placed moment. Danhausen, obviously really popular. That kind of thing isn't for everyone. But as we say about AEW, there's something for everyone, really. Yeah. And you saw the reaction just when his video started on the screen. The crowd were definitely into it in Chicago. They were loving the return of Danhausen. So not in the match as such. He joined them at ringside. He's more of a manager, I suppose. That's how he's been portrayed in AEW. He's had the occasional match. But yeah, I think I'm kind of glad to see him back, and I think he's entertaining. So I think he's funny. I think there's definitely a place for him on the show.
Yeah, it definitely is. Matt Menard cut a promo, I think, after, and you didn't really see it. It's on social media. I'm not quite sure. I think that his association with Angelo Parker and Hager is finished by the sounds of the promo that he cut after. So we'll see what happens about that. Adam Cole then ends his friendship with Roderick Strong. So we're not going to hear much more of the Adam chant from Nick Strong himself. Just a quick one on that. If you did watch my review of Rampage, you will have known that there was a really big spot that kind of went a bit wrong with Action Andretti on doing a Spanish fly and dumping Roderick Strong on his neck from a neck strong. But he obviously was neck strong because he didn't affect him. But anyway, one friendship over from Adam Cole.
Yeah, his line was something along the lines of, Roddy, get it through your thick skull. I'm not your best friend anymore.
Yes.
And Roddy looked heartbroken.
He
of course had to watch. But again, for me, a ruse. I think you'll find the Kingdom and Roddy are men in some of the Devil's goons, as they've been called.
Well, there we go. We will wait and see. We followed that up with Christian Cage, still the best heel in wrestling at the minute.
Oh,
yeah. He was there with Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus. Christian apparently didn't lose the match at Full Gear, nor did Nick Wayne. Luchasaurus lost that match, and Christian wants to recreate the family in his vision. Christian wanted Luchasaurus to demand a knee, and he is now renaming him Killswitch. Your thoughts on that before we crack on with the rest of this segment?
Yeah, this segment really kind of escalated quite quickly, and it was it was a little bit hard to watch at times, particularly towards the end, which we'll get to. I love this. I love this. And I love that now kind of the Sting stuff to a degree it has taken a little bit of a, you know, Darby's off, he's having a break, he's climbing Everest, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Christian was the focal point again, which he kind of hasn't been too much since Copeland came in. We had that initial meet, and then we had the, you know, FU moment.
Yeah.
But then we haven't seen too much where Christian has been the main focus, and he was back as the main focus. I just love how he's kind of playing his kids off each other.
Yeah.
Like an abusive father type character story with the patriarchy. I think this is really good. I think this is really interesting, entertaining. I think Nick Wayne is doing a fantastic job. I thought Nick's facial expressions during all of this were spot on. Really, really good. Obviously, when his mom got involved, Nick really didn't, you know, show much emotion at all. Yeah, I don't know if you want to kind of press on with what happens next, but yeah, I thought Nick Wayne really played his part, and I think Luchasaurus as well, or Killswitch, if we now got to get used to calling him.
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of a change in him as well, because we've seen him be quite subservient and whatever Christian says he does, and there was a bit more resistance now, a bit more, you know, standing in the way and not fighting back, but not as willing to go down to the knee. You know, just a bit more hesitant and kind of figuring things out, I suppose. So I like the development in Killswitch's character as well.
Yeah, very interesting to see how that one progresses. But you're right, it did continue. Nick Wayne takes the knee. Christian said, "Get up." He said he can never get on his knees for another person. He said, Christian says, Nick Wayne, well, basically he's Christian. He'll be now known as the prodigy Nick Wayne going forward. This brings out Nick Wayne's mum, and Christian said it's a shame that she made 40 grand a year as a waitress, as Nick deserved much more. It's a good thing that her husband is dead, because Nick would have disowned them both. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how, Nick just stands there, kind of like smirking, kind of like, just I think this dynamic is so good. I think Shayna as well, I think her name is Nick's mom. I think she's really playing her part really well as well, and obviously she got involved physically as well.
Yeah, she did. It nearly spells the end of it. At this point, Killswitch or Luchasaurus steps up to Christian. Christian tells him to get back down on his knees. At this point, I'm going to call him Killswitchosaurus. Didn't budge. Christian slaps him and then basically shoves him into Nick Wayne's mum. Nick Wayne then goes to the underneath the ring, grabs two chairs, and it looks like we could be seeing a concerto to Nick Wayne's mum, but out comes Adam Copeland to make the save, so we say.
I thought Nick Wayne was going to be the one that did the concerto, which I thought that was just like next level. But obviously Christian instructed Killswitch to do it, and he did seem to be thinking about it till Copeland make the save.
Yeah.
I thought the best part about this as well is Copeland delivered the concerto to Nick Wayne while his mom was kind of sat in the corner, kind of crying, didn't want it to happen. But if you're Copeland, really, Nick Wayne isn't your problem. He's just one of Christian's goons, if you like. He's just part of Christian's entourage, and Copeland's issues with Christian, clearly. So I love the fact that he, regardless of us sitting in the corner, he bashed Nick Wayne's head with the concerto. I thought that was really good. I thought it was the real intense stare as well from Copeland as his music hit. Well, I kind of felt this is back on track now. I'm really invested in seeing Adam Copeland up against Christian Cage, perhaps at World's End. But I really want to see that match now. I really want to get there.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to it myself. I can't wait to see that one. It should be a good one, as you say, potentially at World's End. But anyway, if you love brutal, hard-hitting matches, this brings me right into Jay White and Roosh. They had a fantastic match on this on AEW. And this is what the C2 is going to bring, a lot of really good quality wrestling matches. This one was hard hitting. Jay White picked up the win. I can see the disappointment, Dave. I can understand it. This one, I think, should have been a draw.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Jay's coming off a big loss at the weekend,
Yeah.
and it's his first loss in AEW as well, which
Yeah.
we didn't. Nobody really made a massive deal about that. But Jay White was undefeated and up until his match with MJF, so I suppose it wasn't ideal for him to lose back to back. But Rushi's just come back. Rushi's undefeated, and I just thought this could have been a perfect stalemate, to be honest. And they both take a point. 20 minutes, they can't have been too far off that. I don't know what the match clocked up as, yeah. So I thought that would have been a better way to go for me. And it just adds a little bit more uncertainty because, as I say, as much as I enjoyed the matches, all three of the outcomes are the ones that I would have predicted. So I would have liked a surprise there. Definitely, as I say, soft spot for Roosh. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody to run away with the tournament and either the gold or the blue side of it. I want it to be very competitive. I want every match to mean something. I want there to be ramifications of different people winning and losing and drawing. And perhaps it ends up in a situation where people have to face people they've never defeated before. And that adds an extra level of intrigue to the match. So, yeah, I don't want there to just be three guys that are just winning every week and it's the guys that you expect to win. I want to see some upsets.
Yeah, exactly that. Me too. And I think that's what it's definitely going to need going forward in this. And hopefully we'll see that, as you say. Timeless Tony Storm was introduced by RJ City and Renee. She obviously thanked everybody, with her chat, for winning her championship. But Sky Blue come out. She did make eye contact with Storm before heading to the ring for her match with Ruby Soho, who was with Saraya, and Anna Jay, who was with Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. A lot of dissension with this match between Ruby and Saraya. I just think the match was a little bit all over the place, but there was a good story being told. I just think perhaps could have made it. Was Anna Jay really needed in this match? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It was a little bit rampagey, this match. It wasn't like perhaps befitting of Dynamite as much as, we had the women's match and the Timeless Tony Storm segment just before it. So the women are getting a more time on the show. I think it was just kind of thrown in there. Sky Blue, obviously from Chicago, so it was nice to see her pick up the win in her hometown or home city. But yeah, I didn't really think the match belonged on Dynamite. No. I don't know. It was okay, as you say, a little bit all over the place, which triple threat matches they can sometimes be a little bit that way. There was a lot going on at ringside as well, a lot of interference. You got the Parker and Ruby story, which they're an item in real life, so obviously they're going to be working on screen together as well, which I don't hate, but again, I just didn't feel like it had the same kind of star power as the rest of the episode. In terms of Timeless Tony, I really enjoyed her acceptance speech. I thought it was funny when she said about little girls aspiring to be as good as her, but I've got no chance. So just don't bother. I thought it was good. And I liked how it was presented. I liked how she was in the crowd.
Yeah,
and she kind of came out as if it was an award ceremony. So there was stuff about this segment that I liked. Definitely Tony Storm, and perhaps it was foreshadowing with Skye picking up the win that she'll be Tony's first challenger. Yeah,
could well be. We'll find out again. World's End is probably 4 or 5 weeks away, so it could well be. Could well be that we see that match at World's End. Going back to someone who's got a problem with MJF, that's now Wardlow, who was curling some parts of the ring at this point. He basically said the world doesn't revolve around MJF, and the downfall of the devil will happen on Wardlow's time. For some unknown reason, AR Fox shows up and tries to read him with Wardlow. Wardlow just kicks the living shit out of him, basically, to end it. Is he throwing a curveball there because he sort of said about the downfall of the devil? Is he just basically confirming that it's not him, or could it be that he's the devil?
Wouldn't surprise me at all if he's involved with that. One theory going around online is that MJF will actually be the devil all along, and that Wardlow will be by his side again. I don't necessarily think that will happen. But it is out there doing the rounds. In terms of attacking AR Fox, I think that must just set up a match on either Rampage or Collision. I imagine they'll go one-on-one, which will be a different type of match for Wardlow, because we see him a lot in the squash matches.
Yeah.
And, particularly since his return, hasn't been going long. You would like to think that he'll have a more competitive match with AR Fox, and we get to see AR Fox showcase his abilities as well.
Yeah.
So I don't hate that. I think that will be a decent match. One that I anticipate Wardlow will win, but I'm sure that's what that is set up.
Yeah, I reckon so. As you say, it's probably a Dynamite or a Collision, the Rampage or a Collision match that we'll see them too. Move on to the main event. Again, when you're talking about these two hard-hitting guys just trying to get a win, it moves to Briscoe and Moxley in the Golden League, or the Gold League of the G, or the C2, sorry. This match was fantastic, Dave. I loved it. Briscoe was putting everything out to trying to get a win. Again, could you argue that perhaps Briscoe maybe deserves something from it? Yes. But could it be that they're playing the hard luck story with Briscoe and he picks up some wins nearer the back end of the tournament, potentially? The only thing I will say is this kind of ending Dynamite, as great as the match was, I loved the match, didn't work for me. I would have perhaps had that MJF's Adam Cole segment with the devil laughing going off the air, just because I like it, so that, not that this didn't want to make me want to watch Dynamite next week, but to have that devil laugh going off the air of Dynamite, I think would have worked better than having a Briscoe Moxley match. No problem where it was positioned in the card, but have the Adam Cole MJF thing happen after that, rather than having that match finish Dynamite.
Yeah, I like that. I also like what you say about Mark Briscoe, perhaps, losing a few matches, but then going on a run and having that potential, or that possibility that he could advance to the final. As I say, he's the only real true babyface in the gold bracket. In saying that, I would have loved the moment when Mox was trying to lock in the Bulldog choke.
Yes.
And Briscoe pushed against the ropes and he got a 2 count.
Yeah.
I'd love that to have been a 3 count and he'd pick up the surprise win. And if Dynamite would have gone off the air then, with the commentators saying stuff along the lines of anything can happen in this tournament, I think that would have been a decent way to finish as well.
True.
But as you say, if it is that Mark Briscoe comes into the tournament as it goes on, I think the fans are really invested in him. And I think that they would be with him all the way if he was on like a redemption path, or if he was on a comeback journey when he's got to win so many matches to have any chance of qualifying. So we'll see what happens with that. I also think you could have put Jay White and Roosh in the main event. Briscoe's had a couple of main events in the last few weeks and he's lost them. And I just worry about things like that. I don't like when they get this big opportunity to headline the show. If they keep coming up short, it's only a matter of time before fans start losing a little bit of belief. So I perhaps would have gone for that, what we said earlier, the draw, the time limit draw. But again, would that have been a good way to go off the show? I'm not sure. So yeah, there was a lot to kind of discuss, but I thought it was a fairly solid show. I don't think it was as good as last week. I hover between 7.5 or 8 out of 10. I'll probably go for an 8 out of 10 this week for Dynamite.
Yeah, I was going to say 8.25 maybe. I really liked it. Positioning of some of the things. Maybe one match should have been on Rampage, perhaps. Other than that, really good show to lead off of Full Gear. Love this Continental Classic. It's going to be interesting. I say now, Collision this week, we've got Garcia and Claudio Castagnoli has been announced for the blue side. So that should be a really good encounter. But 8.25 for me. Really good. Bits of placement issues for me, but other than that, really good show. Let's finish off quickly. Eric Bischoff will be coming back on hopefully next week, maybe the week after. He's going to do a part 2. It was Thanksgiving over in the States, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone over there. He was going away for a couple of days. He had a turkey on the grill, as he said in the podcast after nearly talking to us for an hour. So he's coming back on. Dave's potentially heading to SWA tomorrow. We'll see if he goes to that, but you may be heading over there with a friend of yours. So it'd be good if you do go, get some pictures. Our good friend Matt Raywald is going to be there against Charles Crowley. So get some decent shots and buy Matt a whiskey if you do see him. Jared Fritz from the NWA referees coming on Monday night with me and Fiona. WWE stuff will be happening. Survivor Series, obviously tomorrow. I know it's an AEW show, but we have to plug this stuff even on.
I didn't realise it was tomorrow. I've been a little bit out the loop with WWE the last few weeks, but
Survivor Series tomorrow.
I'll try and get that watched.
Randy Orton returns after 18 months.
I did see that. I did see the segment where he returned, but he wasn't actually there.
Yeah, and well, I wouldn't say potentially, but Living Color have just remastered Cult of Personality today. Yeah,
it's in Chicago, isn't it?
It is. Don't know what cat they were strangling, but they may need to remaster it again because he doesn't sound great. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Is
there a real potential for that too? I know we're talking AEW, but it kind of does relate because the last time we saw CM Punk was in AEW. So do you think there's a realistic possibility that he shows up tomorrow night?
If you're asking me now, I say no. I don't think he does. And I think that's why WWE announced Randy Orton this week kind of... The only thing right now is that Shinsuke Nakamura keeps mentioning about someone, and he's not saying who that person is. It could be Okada because there is discussions going on, but that's the only possibility. Look, could it be the best kept secret in wrestling? And is it a good throw off? Keep saying no, there's no talks, no, there's nothing, and have him show up. Yes, but in my mind, I think everyone that wants it to happen is going to be disappointed tomorrow, unless it is a big, massive secret. I don't see.
What other matches are going down at Survivor Series?
So you could say it's Team Cody, which is Cody, Jay, Randy, Jesus Christ. Fucking hell, I can't even remember. Against Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre. McIntyre's gone heel. Gunther Miz for the IC title. Women's War Games is that's the other thing I was going to quickly mention. And again, sorry, this is WWE. I know we're going AEW.
That's all right.
So Damage Control is Bayley, Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Io Skye, and they're going against Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. Bloody hell, I can't even remember after. I'm gonna forgive me for them not remembering the rest of them. Shotzi and a couple of others. Now, interesting enough, Bayley has tweeted today saying that she's always got a plan. Now, the interesting point of this is my SmackDown screen. You know when you record it, a series link it, and it comes up with a big screen? Yeah. It changed a couple of weeks ago, and it really threw me. And the reason why it really threw me was because it changed to all people that are on SmackDown to somebody that is not even in the WWE at the moment. Sasha Banks was on the new screen with Roman, with Otis. Bayley saying she's got a plan. Sasha's technically a free agent. She's not officially signed anywhere that we know of. Does Sasha Banks return at Survivor Series instead of instead of CM Punk?
I think there's definitely rumors going around that could happen. I know there was initially plans for in Japan, and they've come out and said that there are no longer plans.
Yeah.
So that would suggest to me that she's made some kind of deal with either WWE or AEW. Mm-hmm. She was obviously there as a special guest at All In, pictured in the crowd.
Yeah.
But with her history with Bayley, it would perhaps be a big surprise in terms of how she left the company and are going back. Mm-hmm. But being affiliated with Bayley again, or being involved with Bayley, probably would be the way to do it. So yeah, there's definitely intrigue there, and it's interesting because I think a lot of AEW fans are hoping that Sasha turns up or Mercedes Moné turns up in AEW at some point. So yeah, that would be definitely an interesting point going into Survivor Series as to how many new faces or old faces kind of reappear. And it sounds like it's not just going to be Randy Orton.
We'll have to wait and see.
Allegedly, or I heard a rumor that Orton's no longer going to be doing the RKO. Have you heard that one?
I haven't, but with back injury, it's quite possible that he wouldn't do it. I mean, I find it quite... The only other thing about potentially Punk coming in, other than Randy Orton turning on Jey Uso because he was the one that effectively put him out, and Cody Rhodes just because to set up a feud, the only other thing that I could see potentially happen is Randy gets taken out before the Survivor Series match starts, and potentially, if Punk has signed, he slots in. The only reason I say that is I find it is interesting that they're going to put Orton's first match back as a fucking War Games cage match with all of these. I mean, I'm not saying he's not 100% or anything like that, but would you really put someone in War Games after with a career-ending back injury? Like, I don't know. It's lots of stuff.
There's definitely. I mean, we love fantasy booking and speculating on this show, but there's definitely a lot of intriguing elements going in. So I'll definitely try and watch it and listen to your guys' review. I'm sure you'll be doing at some point.
Me and Andy will be reviewing it at some point. I'm pretty sure it's going to be at some point on Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, Dave, me and you will also be back potentially on Sunday reviewing Collision. Obviously, your schedule dependent on.
That should be fine Sunday.
This will be fine. So we'll be back on Sunday with Collision. We'll be back also with Survivor Series. Me and Andy have still got to sit down and do the week in WWE at the minute. He's been busy. But going on other shows, proving that he's got a face for radio. He's been on Talk Sport. He apparently was on Skye talking everything the Washington losers, talking about them. So we've got to sit down and do Raw. We've got to do SmackDown as well as Survivor Series. So perhaps we'll wrap it all into one. But for now, Dave, thank you very much for your time this evening. And as it's Dynamite, there's only one way we sign off Dynamite, my friend. No pressure. Off you go.
It's now time to bid you all adieu, goodbye, and good night. Bang.
Stay safe, everybody.